Hey everyone, in this video we're going to take a look at chapter 4 of the Road to Latin textbook. And specifically we're going to look at the first story in chapter 4 called Marcella. So again, if you want to dive a little more deeper into this, pick up my notes, things like that, go to the Nova Latin site. I have the story. You can highlight the cases. You can see the story in a couple different ways. There's an English translation and a bunch of different grammar notes that I've added to the Road to Latin text just to help you through it. So again, if you're interested, feel free to go there. If you're already using it, enjoy. But either way, just something to help you as you work your way through this textbook. So the key to chapter 4 is we're introducing a new case, and this is the genitive case. So just to give you a quick overview of the grammar so that we can translate it, the thing you want to remember is that the genitive case is usually showing possession in Latin. So we translate it as of. So for instance, you might say something like, whose house is this? Oh, it's the house of Cornelius, or Cornelius's house. So in English, we tend to use apostrophe s to show possession. You can do that in your translation too. I usually find it more easier, I guess, to use of, because there are a couple other uses of the genitive where I think translating of in English just helps you get at the Latin a little bit easier. So do whatever you have to do. But again, in general, we usually translate the genitive cases of. And in the first declension, which is the first group of nouns that we're really studying so far, it uses the endings AE, right? I, which is a singular form. So if I was trying to say, something of someone, right, and it's a singular person, I'd use AE, right? And the plural form is arum, right? ARUM with a long mark over the A. So these are the endings that we're going to see, and we want to stop and think for a little bit because that AE ending can be either nominative plural or genitive singular. And if you're confused on how you can tell, go to my website, take a look, read through my notes. I walk you through how you can tell the difference between those two things, right? But in general, once you have the grammar under your belt, again, the thing you need to do is dive into the vocab. So take a look at all the vocab, practice it. If you're using my site, I have Quizlets for you. There's derivatives, different things to help you really dive into the vocab and make sure you understand it really well. But you have to have that background. It's very difficult to translate, like I always tell you, if you don't know what the words are. My next advice, again, I tell you in all the videos, is to read this story. Find someone you can partner up with, read it aloud, have them read it back to you. You never want to shut off your speaking skill and your listening skill. It'll really help you with understanding the Latin, so make sure you're doing that with every story. Once you've hit that point and you're ready to translate, you can dive right in. All right, so let's start. So the story starts with this. You have Puella est Marcella. And if you look to the right, this is the picture that comes out of the Road to Latin textbook. So you have a girl, a Puella, and it's saying the girl is Marcella, right? So that's her name. And she's the one in the picture. Marcella est filia Terentiae. So Marcella is a filia, is a daughter, is the daughter, you might say. Now we have this word, Terentiae. So it's a name, Terentia, right? And it's telling you whose daughter Marcella is. So it's showing you possession. So this is our genitive singular noun ending. So you want to translate it as Marcella is the daughter of Terentia. Now, how did I know that? So again, if you go back to my website and read my grammar notes, I kind of walk you through this. But the short version is this. If you see that AE ending on Terentiae and you say to yourself, oh, it's nominative plural, that's my subject. Okay, it could be. But if you had a plural subject, you would need a plural verb. And est here is a singular verb. That's one of the tip-offs. The context is telling you that this is not the subject, Terentiae, it's something else. The only option we have at this point for what it could be, having that AE ending, if it's not a plural subject, is genitive singular. And it makes the most sense. Again, you're saying Marcella is the daughter of Terentia. Then we continue on. You have Terentia est domina villae. So Terentia, there's our subject, she is the domina, the mistress. And again, remember we said domina is the female version of dominus. So when I say mistress, it's just female master, right? The head of the house is really what I mean. So Terentia is the mistress of the house, villae. Again, villae here has to be genitive singular. It wouldn't make any sense to be nominative plural, which is the only other option we have for that AE ending. It just wouldn't add up, right? The houses aren't doing anything. It doesn't make sense. So you're saying, and again, one keynote I should have added, usually the genitive comes right after the word it's going with. It doesn't have to, but more often than not, it does. So when you see domina villae, that's a phrase, the mistress of the house. Okay, so Terentia is the mistress, Marcella is her daughter. Then we continue. We have Marcella est laeta, quod noam tunicam habet. So Marcella is happy, right? Marcella est leita. She's happy because, here we have our conjunction, so we're starting a new phrase. Habet, she has, right? She has or holds. Has probably works best here. She has a noam tunicam. The am ending is a direct object. It's accusative case. So what does she have? She has a new tunic, right? And a tunic is a type of clothing. You can actually see she's wearing it here. It's sort of like a dress or like I guess you could say like a short sleeve, knee length t-shirt type thing. Usually you wear some sort of belt around it. But a tunic is a pretty common piece of Roman clothing. You can look it up if you want, but that's why she's happy. She has a new one. Tunica Marcellae est longa et alba. So the tunic, right, of Marcella, again, here, we know there's only one Marcella, right, one girl. So when you see Marcellae here, it has to be genitive. It wouldn't make sense to be nominative plural because there's not more than one Marcella, right? That's one of these context clues you can get at. So you're saying the tunic of Marcella is longa, long, et alba, and white, right? So it's a white tunic. It's a long tunic. You can see in the picture it's going down to, I guess, past her knees, right? That's the longa part of it. So she has a brand new white tunic. Then you have Marcella corbulam portat. So a corbulus is, a corbula rather, is a basket, a small basket. So when you say Marcella corbulam portat, you're saying Marcella portat, she's carrying a corbulam. There's your direct object. She's carrying a small basket, okay? Now, in the next sentence, this is where you want to really practice your focusing on your noun endings and not the word order. It starts with Marcellae. So if you start there, you might think, oh, this is my subject. It's not. Marcellae corbula is a phrase going together. And basically what Road to Latin has done here is flip the order and put the genitive first. It doesn't really matter. Like I said, more often than not, we tend to put the genitive second, but it doesn't really make a difference. Corbula is your subject, right? The small basket. Corbula Marcellae is telling you whose basket it is. It's the basket of Marcella. That's our genitive singular, Marcellae. Right? So Corbula Marcellae, the small basket of Marcella, is pulchra, right? It's beautiful. So she has this very pretty small basket. Now we go on to the last paragraph, right? This is a shorter story in chapter 4. You have Marcella statuas dearum amat. So Marcella is my subject. What is she doing? My verb is amat, right? She likes or she loves. So Marcella likes the statuas, the statues. And notice it's a plural direct object, right? Accusative plural because you have the as ending. Okay, so it's not just one statue, it's the statues, right? So she likes the statuas, the statues, dearum. There's our genitive plural ending, right? The arum gives it away. So it's showing that the statues belong to the dearum, to the gods. So if you put this together, you're saying Marcella likes the statues of the gods. And if you look in the picture, she's approaching a statue. There's some in the background too. These are supposed to be statues of the gods, right? You have villa est plena statuarum dearum. So the villa is full, right? Plena means full. So villa est plena means the house or the villa is full. Here's another use of the genitive, okay? And this is why I told you to translate it as of. When you read this, statuarum dearum is genitive plural, but it's not showing possession, right? You're not showing that anything belongs to the statues. This is something called a partitive genitive, right? Where you're saying something is full of something, right? It's a slightly different translation. It's, again, not really showing possession. So this is why I tell you when you run into a genitive, just usually translate it of and you'll get pretty close. When you have a word like plena, full, it usually goes, or I guess often goes with a genitive because you're saying it's full of something. So this line, villa est plena statuarum dearum, you're saying the house is full of statues, plural, of the gods. That's what it's full of. Again, it's not really showing possession. It's doing something different, right? You're showing it's full of something. So again, when you see the genitive, just try to train your mind to translate of, and you'll probably be close most of the time, okay? Then you have corbula Marcellae est rosarum albarum plena. So our subject here is the corbula, right? The main phrase is corbula est plena, right? The little basket is full. Every other word in here is highlighted green in my translation because it's genitive. So you're giving more details about it. So the first is Marcellae. So of Marcella, you're saying the corbula of Marcella, the little basket of Marcella is plena, it's full. And again, when you see the word full, plena, it's usually going with a genitive to say what it's full of. What is it full of here? Rosarum albarum. It's full of roses, rosarum, and they're albarum roses. They're white roses. So if you put this together, this sentence is a little bit trickier just because it's kind of the word order is a little tricky, right? Especially when you're thinking of English. But if you read it kind of how it is in Latin, look for the endings, you'll end up in the right place. You're saying the small basket of Marcella is full of white roses. Then we continue on. You have Marcella statuas dearum ornat. So Marcella, there's your subject. What's she doing? She's ornat. She's decorating, right? She's decorating something. What is she decorating? We need a direct object. Statuas, the statues. It's accusative plural. And again, here we're about to show possession with our genitive. It's the statues of the gods. Okay? Dearum is genitive plural. So Marcella is decorating the statues of the gods. Coronae deas delectant. So my subject here is coronae. So let's pause for a minute because, again, I told you that AE ending can be either nominative plural, which is what it is here, or genitive singular. So it's either the subject or you're showing some sort of possession usually or something involving the word of in English. Okay? If it were genitive, you'd be saying of the crowns. The only other noun here is deos. So you'd be saying something about the gods of the crowns, which really doesn't make a ton of sense. Delectant means they delight. So if you thought coronae was genitive here, you'd be translating they delight the gods of the crowns. It just doesn't really add up. Okay? But if you think of coronae as being your subject, which it is, now you can translate it better. The coronae, the crowns, delight. Right? And the crowns are what Marcella is using to decorate. You can see in the picture, she's making little crowns of flowers, right? She has her white roses. So the crowns are delighting the deos, the gods, right? So the idea here is that Marcella is decorating statues of the gods, and it makes them happy because now their statues are all pretty. Right? But again, this chapter is a little straightforward. It's a smaller story, but in these two paragraphs, you can start to see the genitive singular and genitive plural endings, and you're starting to see in context how you need to tell the difference between a nominative plural ending, AE, and a genitive singular plural ending, AE, when you're talking about first declension nouns. It might feel a little tricky at first. The key is always context. What makes the most sense? Look at the entire sentence. Look at your nouns. Look at your verbs. You can piece it together and you'll end up with the right answer. Okay? So again, hopefully this wasn't too bad. As you read through it, again, read it aloud. Try to find someone to read it back to you so you can listen to the story, work on the vocab, work on the grammar. You should be all right. If you have any questions at all, put them in the comments below. But otherwise, good luck.